One other thing that I'd like to talk about is the novel itself. And in my opinion, one reason that literary novels are struggling is simply put because they are now in competition with streaming services like Netflix, the movie industry, traditional TV. And I've been making the argument for a very long time now that novels and short stories, even poems, should be more like movies. And to sort of advance that idea, I've developed something that I call the illustrated screenplay novel. There have been various attempts to adapt screenplays to novel writing, including a Canadian attempt um, entitled American Whiskey Bar that I'll discuss later. But there's been no attempt that's really sort of succeeded with the public, and also, in my opinion, succeeded artistically. And I think the great failing in these attempts has been to, first of all, not write a proper novel, but instead take a screenplay and call it a novel. And second of all, there is simply not enough attention paid to the illustration part of things. Now, the artwork, in other words, which I think would be a big boon, a big advantage in terms of marketing this kind of project. Now, I'm going to read a little bit from the introduction to this particular novel and read some opening pages and also show you some of the artwork. And I'm going to keep posting on this. One of the resolutions that I have for 2022 is to really push this illustrated screenplay novel, screenplay fiction idea. Now, let me just go to the cover letter that I've written. I have recently completed a historical novel about a very significant episode in the development of both American and Western democracy. The work is entitled The Business Army, and it is based on little known but fascinating historical fact. Soon after his election in 1933, Franklin D. Roosevelt began what is commonly known as the 100 Days, a period of progressive legislation urgently required in America as the banking system was on the verge of collapse. However, through the summer and autumn months of 1933, there were powerful forces in America which did not want Roosevelt to go, quote, too far, end quote. These interests included the Morgan family, the DuPonts, and even those of Prescott Bush, paterfamilias, to a political business family well known in the contemporary world. The Business Army is a riveting story about how these interests reacted to Roosevelt's progressive legislation. It also describes a historically documented attempt to organize a coup d'etat against FDR's administration. The Business Army goes to the very heart of one of the most overlooked episodes of 20th century American history, yet its plot is based on historical fact. In the summer of 1932, a large group of impoverished World War veterans assembled in Washington to form what was called the Bonus Army. Their demand was simple. Because of the Depression, they wished to cash in early bonus certificates they had received after their war service. But the administration of Herbert Hoover was adamant it would not yield on such a costly proposal, and under the leadership of Douglas MacArthur, it crushed the Bonus Army. The resulting political fallout sealed the fate of the Hoover administration and was pivotal in bringing about the election of a controversial reformer, Franklin D. Roosevelt. Hoover's actions also had the more subtle effect, though, of altering the mentality of many veterans. They did not now see the government as their friend, but as an opponent, which was insensitive to their concerns. In 1933, two members of the American Legion named Gerald McGuire and Bill Doyle approached General Smedley Butler with a proposal. They wanted Butler to attend a Legion convention and take a stand in favor of the gold standard. Butler, who routinely accepted visits by veterans, nevertheless regarded the proposal of McGuire and Doyle with skepticism. How did he fit into Legion politics? He was not a delegate to the convention. Doyle and Maguire did not give up, however, and Maguire proved especially tenacious. As time went by, the plans of Gerald Maguire became increasingly militant. Now, not only did he want Butler to speak in favor of the gold standard, but he wanted him to also play the role of, quote, the man on the white horse, end quote, a Mussolini-like figure who would lead a march of veterans on Washington and usurp Roosevelt by becoming a kind of, quote-unquote, supersecretary to the president. Butler kept leading Maguire along, trying to find out more and understand the real workings of Maguire's group. He was playing the role of private investigator, eager to find out who the, quote, top people, end quote, in Maguire's organization really were. When Maguire and Butler had their last, most heated discussion in a hotel in Philadelphia in 1934, Butler contacted a journalist friend named Paul Comley French in order to have French also talk to Maguire and act as a witness to Maguire's traitorous scheme. French did so, and once this happened, Butler went to the federal government's investigatory body, the House on Un-American Activities Committee. But once Butler began testifying, he realized that there were powers that, while willing to thoroughly investigate the dealings of one Gerald C. Maguire, were reticent to go higher than that. Butler realized that in politics, too, there are untouchables. Finally, the business army is not only historically significant, but significant to the present day. I wrote this cover letter, by the way, many years ago, so, you know, completely passé. We don't have to worry about a thing anymore. Significant in the present day. As corporate power keeps growing, the question of how much influence it has over democracy is an issue of importance, not just to readers interested in American history, but all readers concerned about the maintenance of genuine liberty, etc. And then my bio. Now, I'm going to show you some of the, just a couple of examples of the artwork. This is the bonus march. Hold on a second here. Here is a young General George Patton, who was a tank battalion commander, I think at the battalion level. He helped crush the bonus march. And here is one of the cavalry who were brought in to intimidate the bonus marchers. And as well, because this is a historical novel, it was very easy to find archival photographs in the public domain. So I used a lot of artwork in this novel. And here is just a segment from the opening of it. And I will stop for today after this. Fade in, exterior, a major thoroughfare, day. Title, July 28th, 1932, Washington. SFX, the excited whinny of horses rearing, the screams of people beneath their spinning hooves. The camera shakes, a crowd is being broken up by mounted policemen. A battalion of soldiers appears in the background. Cut to the rear of this chaos, next to some parked cars and a picket fence. General Douglas MacArthur, commanding officer of the operation, is elegantly dressed in his cavalry uniform. He looks on attentively. MacArthur to a captain. You there, why aren't those troops moving faster? Captain. They're going as fast as they safely can. MacArthur sharply. Don't make them go safely, make them go. Cut to a crowd of civilians in the path of the mounted policemen, and in the background a troop of cavalry soldiers. People's voices off screen. A woman's scream, a man chanting, bonus, bonus. Civilian man to troops. You brutes, can't you see there are women and children here? Officer. Move on, you people, move on. Remember, you were in uniform once. Do what you're told. It's for the best. take orders from the likes of you. You're just a pawn. Don't you feel any shame? There are veterans here who can barely feed their families. Why don't you think of justice first before you start lecturing others on their duty? Cut to long shot of the street on which the protesters and troops are confronting each other. SFX, the sharp whistle of other, more aggressive cavalry moving forward, and then also advancing a column of tanks. In the midst of this is the figure of George S. Patton. He surveys the crowd for a few moments. Patton, squinting. Charge! Charge! Anyway, you'll have to excuse my somewhat shaky reading of this. I do have several versions, actually, of this manuscript. If people are unhappy with the format of screenplay writing, I do have a much more conventional, traditional formatted one, and I've been working on this manuscript, tinkering with it for quite some time. But as I said, you can, if you're curious, you can read it online. It exists as in unillustrated form online at the magazine Eclectica, and I will post the link for those who want to check it out.